Now, I'm going to tell you guys something, okay? Nurgle has beaten the ever-living stuffing out of us. Nurgle has beaten the ever-living stuffing out of half of you guys, beating the crap out of me. Hobbit, poor damned Hobbit, man. Hobbit's been down for it. Hobbit has been down for it for like a long time. So, in the spirit of that, I thought we'd check out something from Tats TopVideos, and this is on virus SCPs, because good lord, if anybody's been afflicted by SCPs that are virus in origin, it would be Hobbit, and myself, and the wife, okay? We've all been suffering. X in chat if you've been sick in the last 2 months, because I'm pretty sure everybody has, okay? I'm pretty sure everybody has. It's your first day back, your first week back at work since the day after Thanksgiving? Good lord. X in chat if you've been sick. This is an appropriate video for all of us at this point. Yes, a migraine counts, Headhunter. But it really depends on the cause, too. Look at them rabbits. Look at them rabbits. Yes. Hydrating. Oh, I'm so glad I got this stuff in. I hate drinking monsters. Warpugs, this is Tats TopVideos. It's been a long time since I've been able to check out anything from them. But we're going to get into this. Virus SCPs, Warpugs. Let's get right into it. This message brought to you by Tats TopVideos and Personal Security Intel. Yes.
This video contains flashing lights, unsettling content, and violent content. It is also not suitable for viewers who suffer from entomophobia, coronaphobia, and dysmorphophobia. Viewer discretion advised.
Ugh. Well, let's go. Yay! Gotta love the techno beat on top of everything. Better knock on wood, Wraith.
SCP-008. Object Class: Euclid.
Okay.
SCP-008 is a complex prion, samples of which are stored in each of the known G2 sites. Research into SCP-008 is highly classified and primarily aimed at preventing research which may lead to the synthesis of SCP-008 in the distant future. Symptoms of infection with SCP-008 manifest no more than 3 hours after exposure, and
that's quick.
Flu-like symptoms with high fever, plus severe dementia in later stages.
Okay, I haven't been affected by this one, okay? I really wasn't affected by anybody, anything close to this, because I understand I'm a boomer, but that doesn't mean I have dementia.
Coma onset approximately 20 hours after first symptoms appear, and 12 hours after noticeable dementia. A period of sporadic cellular necrosis occurs which comes to resemble gangrene. Surviving tissue assumes its original function and is highly resilient. Red blood cells greatly increase oxygen storage capacity, resulting in slower blood flow and increased muscle endurance and strength. Nervous and muscle systems are unaffected by total organ failure for several hours. Metabolism may decrease to extremely low levels, allowing subject to survive over 10 years without nutrition. High blood viscosity
Zombie. The zombie plague. This is the zombie plague.
Results in negligible blood flow from gunshot, puncture, and slashing injuries. Conditioned behavior, motor control, and instinctive behavioral mechanisms are damaged, and cognitive abilities are severely erratic. Animals experience excessive brain necrosis and are inactive. Subject can adapt to its damaged nervous systems, but is limited to basic physical activities, including standing up, balancing on 2 legs, walking, biting, grabbing, and crawling. Subject will energetically move towards sights, sounds, and smells it associates with living humans. Subjects will attempt to ingest living humans if physical contact is made. SCP-008 samples have been deemed Class V extreme biological hazards, and all related protocols apply. Incineration and irradiation measures will be deployed in the event of political or military action which may result in the facility being dismantled, a power failure, or zero communications from operatives or outside channels during any given 8-hour period. There is strong evidence to suggest SCP-008 itself did not form naturally on Earth. since variants of similar complexity would have displaced much of the ecosystem. In 1959, a short collaborative effort with the USSR to locate G2 sites and eliminate SCP-008 was negotiated following their discovery. The status of SCP-008 in Russian custody since collaboration ended is unknown.
Well, the last time we had a major zombie apocalypse, it started in Florida. I'm just saying. Does anybody else remember that whole thing that happened in Florida with the zombie attack from the person that was really, really done in on bath salts? That was the most terrifying. Like, I was so glad to be out of Florida. I was so glad to be out of Florida. I was like, oh my god. The cop that ran up on that dude needed a lot of therapy. A lot of therapy.
SCP-081.
Yeah.
Object Class: Euclid.
Okay.
SCP-081 is a contagious virus that appears to be a mutated version of the virus.
Okay.
Segments in its RNA instead of... The virus is human-specific, but is spread by rats who act as passive carriers.
Okay.
It can also be spread through sexual intercourse and exposure to infected blood. SCP-081 infects adipocytes and leukocytes, inducing both to absorb nutrients at a vastly accelerated rate. Infected B cells produce and secrete large quantities of modified human antibody. Adipocytes expand and proliferate, and the organism's caloric intake increases. When the concentrations of adipose tissue reaches a critical point, the viral antibodies instigate systemic cell lysis, followed by an unknown process leading to the spontaneous combustion of the infected individual. There is a 1-week incubation period before initial symptoms begin to occur. The duration of the symptoms depends entirely on the body fat percentage of the infected.
So, if you're chunky, does it hurt you or help you? Just a question. It's just a question of skinny to thick ratio. Or is that what we're looking at here?
Infection proceeds through 4 distinct stages.
Okay.
Stage 1. During the first week, there are no major symptoms, though subjects may report being slightly tired. Stage 2. In the second week of infection, subjects will begin to experience hot flashes and an increased appetite. Stage 3. Infected subjects demonstrate extreme polyphagia. They will do anything in their power to obtain food or anything edible. During this stage, metabolism slows down significantly and the weight gain proceeds rapidly. There is no set time that will elapse before the 4th and final stage. In order for the virus to complete its life cycle, the victim must be composed of 55% body fat. Once the subject reaches 55% body fat, the urge to eat will stop, though subjects report increased instances of hot flashes. Soon afterwards, the body will go through an extremely violent version of widespread cell lysis. As cells burst, the modified antibodies catalyze the ignition of fatty compounds through unknown means. The body is incinerated from the inside out via the wick effect, with the
Bruh. This sucks. This sucks. First you get the munchies. Wraith, you are not sorry. You are not sorry. That was clever. That was clever. Points for Wraith on that one, okay?
The additional fat serving as a fuel source. Because stage 4 is largely asymptomatic, subjects are never aware when combustion will occur.
Yay!
And the exact timing is apparently random. Full hazard gear including suit, gloves, and an oxygen tank are worn at all times when in the containment area. Suits are sprayed with a disinfectant shower before leaving the containment area.
Okay.
If containment is breached, the entire area is exposed to ultraviolet light and then bleached. Those who are suspected of being infected are quarantined for at least 10 days. If no symptoms manifest after the 10th day, then quarantine can be lifted.
What do you do if somebody's infected, though? Like, what's the solution here? Are we talking Tide Pod Challenge kind of deal? 16. The bat bomb becomes the rat bomb? No. Oh, I hear you.
SCP-742. Object Class: Keter.
Oh boy.
SCP-742 is a retrovirus approximately times more complex than any known naturally occurring virus.
Sweet!
It infects all cell types, but initially only enters the lytic cycle in helper T cells, leading to a state of immunocompromise that allows it to infect every one of the infected subject's cells.
Damn.
Infected cells secrete hormones that increase appetite, as well as a signal compound. Once full infection is achieved, concentration of this signal compound reaches a target level, and the infection enters stage 2.
Okay.
During
So stage 1, your bones are literally hungry.
stage 2, it affects the nervous system, causing the infected subject to ravenously consume large quantities of protein-rich food, and then seek a dark, secluded area, often a cave, abandoned building, or crypt.
Okay, I have this. I definitely have this because, like, when I turn off all the lights in here, I'm literally in a cave.
At this point, the subject enters a state of hibernation, slowing the metabolism to the point of apparent death.
Oh.
During this period,
That's not me.
the retrovirus completely reverse transcribes itself into the infected subject's DNA and deactivates its viral properties. Following this event, the subject is designated SCP-742-1. Newly created instances use the food energy ingested during the viral phase to alter their physiology, resulting in an organism superficially similar to a human being, but with the second alimentary tract linked to the roof of the mouth, several new organs of indeterminate function, and a subtly altered nervous system. Once fully transformed, instances continue to function as if they were normal human beings, and are virtually indistinguishable without medical examination. However, the infection destabilizes the genome during reverse transcription, leading to symptoms consistent with telomerase dysfunction within approximately a month. SCP-742-1 can prevent this by ingesting human stem cells. In the wild, they are nocturnal hunters.
Are they vampires? There's a cat. There it is, right there. Oh! War pugs. She got another one. I don't know what in the world has happened in the woods that has driven all these mice. Because we didn't have this problem last year. We did not have this problem last year. We just didn't, okay? There were no mice in the house last year, at least none that I saw. But this year, because it was colder last year. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they all burrowed down or whatever. But this year, they've all, like, we've had a mouse problem in the house. Well, that cat right there, that is a prime upstanding individual. I'm telling you that. Because she got another one. All right? She got another one. That is a mouser cat right there. She can sit in here anytime she wants. I'm just saying. I got a feeling, Fox. I just got to find it. And I don't think anything's changed, okay? I don't think anything's changed, but that's a mouser.
Preying on isolated humans. The victim is first paralyzed by a venomous bite, then drained of bone marrow via the femur. Occasionally, some of the victim's flesh will also be cannibalized for sustenance. Instances do not age normally, and if kept supplied with stem cells, are biologically immortal. They specifically target younger victims because of the higher volumes of stem cells that can be obtained. Children who still have baby teeth will be found with teeth missing, in addition to the skeleton being liquefied. Instances will also target pregnant mothers in order to enter an infectious state. Normally, SCP-742-1 uses pluripotent stem cells from bone marrow to regenerate itself, and is incapable of spreading the infection. After ingesting at least grams of totipotent stem cells, it secretes a small amount of fluid filled with the SCP-742 retrovirus from the glands. This fluid, injected into a major artery of a human victim, is the primary transmission vector for the infection. Instances of SCP-742-1 are kept in separate solitary confinement cells in the maximum security wing of Site-8175.
Yeah, do it,
and are
Wraith.
fed 476 kilograms of freshly harvested bone marrow, in addition to standard humanoid-grade rations. Samples of the SCP-742 virus are kept in a secure vault at site. Personnel note that while infected individuals are extremely dangerous, The virus itself has exceedingly low infectivity, except
Okay.
when injected directly into the bloodstream, and is not
Okay.
considered a biohazard.
Who made that call?
Mobile Task Force respond to uncontained outbreaks of SCP-742 and are currently in the field in...
Alright, who... Let's go. Oh boy, Warpucks, here we go.
SCP-129.
Okay.
Object Class, Keter.
Okay.
SCP-129 is a series of at least 20 different species of fungus that can infect any animal with mucosal membranes.
Okay.
Infection can pass through up to 5 stages, with each stage of infection facilitating progression to the next stage by weakening the individual's resistance to subsequent infection. Due to a combination of historical events, most humans and animals are naturally immune to SCP-129-4 through
Naturally immune. Okay. We're doing good so far. Let's go.
Therefore, outbreaks of Stage 3 infection are quite rare, but have the potential for widespread infection if not swiftly isolated and contained.
Uh-huh.
In the first stage, the first organism, SCP-129-1, attacks the victim's mucosal membranes, multiplying quickly and unobtrusively. A faint yeast-like smell might be detected, but
Yeast?
beyond that, it's asymptomatic.
Alright.
A second organism, SCP-129-2, can then infect the host, causing the victim to experience symptoms identical to those of the common cold.
Okay.
The decreased efficiency of the host's immune system due to infection from SCP-129-2 allows SCP-129-1 to become entrenched further. In the second stage, SCP-129-3 alters the host's mucus, lymph, and blood such that other species of SCP-129 can thrive in the host. Although it is usually stopped by natural mucus, Stage 1 of the infection changes the composition of the host's mucus so that the host is significantly less resistant. Symptoms of Stage 2 infection greatly increase mucus production, a nagging cough due to excess phlegm.
Hobbit, this is you. This is you, Hobbit. Okay? This is you.
A lingering low-grade fever, increased sweating, and salivating. In the absence of SCP-129-3, nearly all animals are immune to the 3 species that cause Stage 3 infection. However, a small number of Stage 2 victims can become infected with one or more of these species.
Ugh.
Victims who reach Stage 4 appear generally healthy, and indeed may be more lively and energetic than at any time since first contacting SCP-129.
Hobbit?
In actuality, SCP-129-1 through 6 have spread throughout the host's body, completely infiltrating the subject's immune, respiratory, circulatory, reproductive, and central nervous systems. Mycelia from SCP-129 species also permeate the host's skin and replace some. These hyphae, which are nearly indistinguishable from the host's natural hair, are used to propagate SCP-129 to other hosts.
So if you see somebody headbanging, they could be a carrier of 129.
Potential host that comes into contact with shed-off hyphae has a 90% chance of becoming infected. Symptoms of Stage 5 infection depend on a variety of factors, including the particular Stage 5 species that are present, as well as genetic, physiological, environmental, and any number of unknown factors. However, as in Stage 4, all Stage 5 victims are highly contagious and can infect victims who had previously shown complete immunity. Notable manifestations of Stage 5 symptoms include swelling and exploding to scatter infection.
You had to ruin it, didn't you, Wraith? You had to ruin my goodwill. Somebody knew, Kim.
Infected spores, or pulsating mounds of flesh and vegetable material. Researchers theorize that victims of Stage 5 of SCP-129 would interact normally with the populace, attempting to infect others until, after a period of time, they would hide in caves. Upon arrival, the victims would be changed into the pulsating vegetative flesh mounds, which appear to be organisms modified to provide a long-term source of substance to SCP-129. Analysis suggests the flesh mounds could potentially live for years. SCP-129 is at large in the world and infects large numbers of humans and animals daily. Containment efforts are focused on treatment of infected individuals and on eradication of any or all member species of SCP-129. Although at least 98% of the world's population harbors a natural immunity to one or more species of SCP-129, outbreaks that reach stage 3 or higher are contained as quickly as possible, with infected individuals quarantined under high-risk contagion protocols.
Okay.
SCP-383.
383, okay.
Objects Class Euclid.
I haven't seen anything about any of the ones that we've seen so far, and I've seen a lot of things with SCP in it. I haven't seen anything like this so far. Period.
SCP-383 is a viral infection, first categorized as a variant of influenza.
Is this the same voice from the Templin Institute? From back in the day? It sounds like her.
Initial symptoms of SCP-383 are similar to those of the common cold, ranging through a variety of aches and pains, sinus issues, sore throat, upset stomach, coughing and sneezing, and fatigue. It appears to only be capable of infecting human hosts, but has been observed to be carried by other animals, such as rats and pigeons.
Pigeons!
Similar to a common infection, it will work its way through the human body naturally within a few days, or faster with routine antivirals. SCP-383 is also accompanied by extreme waves of nausea. Along with breathing up the contents of the host's stomach, it appears to be capable of, through unknown means, producing random items. These items are always sized appropriately to the host's mouth, even if it appears infeasible for them to originate from the stomach.
What?
Suggesting that these items are actually produced either in the mouth or throat. More often than not, these items are useful individually to the host. For example, a host inside of a locked room may regurgitate a key.
So literally, you become a symbiotic deck of many things. I mean, it's disgusting, but okay.
Or a lockpick set, or a crowbar to pry the door open.
A crowbar?
While the results are far from consistent, the only pattern shown is that SCP-383 always produces items of use to the host in one way or another. Although SCP-383 would seem to have great potential as a Foundation asset, it should be noted that these items do not spontaneously appear. Rather, they are created from biomass from the human body.
Oh.
Victims are prone to anemia, nutrition loss, bone damage, and severe weight loss depending upon the fashion of items produced.
So the dude produced a blicky. You know Kentucky Ballistics has one.
Items that contain substances not found often inside the human body are often replaced with similar substances or missing non-vital parts. Infections can also cause damage to the mouth and esophagus and a weakening of the immune system.
Okay.
Hosts have also been observed to have a risk of choking on any items produced from SCP-383. Hosts also report some difficulty swallowing foods, and the relatively consistent nausea makes it difficult to consume or digest any foods or liquids, occasionally resulting in dehydration. Due to SCP-
So dehydration is the big side effect from this.
383's highly virulent nature, occasional mutations can occur, resulting in strains that cause the host to regurgitate unsafe items or substances, such as boiling hot liquids or knives, that injure or kill the host.
What?
All suspected and confirmed infections will be treated with personnel. Anyone they have had direct contact within the frame of infection are placed into quarantine for the duration of testing.
Okay.
A confirmed case of SCP-383 will result in personnel being placed under a week-long quarantine and placed on antivirals until testing reveals that 383 is fully flushed from the system.
So it's actually... It's treatable with antivirals. That's actually... I like this one. I like this one for a number of reasons.
All objects created by SCP-383 are cataloged along with the current state of the host.
Now, this would be absolutely amazing if you gave it to the orcs from 40K.
Hosts are given a high nutrition foredrip, and unless Class D testing is in operation, they are kept mildly sedated in a safe, hospitable situation.
Good for them. 13.
SCP-1242.
Okay.
Object Class: Euclid. SCP-1242 is an adolescent Caucasian human male, 137 centimeters in height, weighing 41 kilograms. Subject communicates primarily in English, is intelligent, and generally cooperative with Foundation personnel. Subject exudes a retroviral agent, hereafter referred to as SCP-1242-1, from all bodily orifices and glands. It is 99.9% infectious when transmitted by direct contact through skin, and 100% infectious when transmitted by direct contact through ingestion. It's been shown to be infectious to varying degrees throughout indirect contact for up to 14 days on average, with the longest recorded period between viral missions and infection being 26 days. SCP-1242-1 contains an unusually large amount of fragmented genetic material and acts directly on the genetic and cellular level.
Dude, what is this? This guy's life has got to suck. I've heard people described as toxic. I've heard people described as toxic often. But to be described as viral and not in the social media sense, I haven't heard that, Warpugs. I haven't heard that at all. Guys, Tats TopVideos here. Like, oh my good God. I gotta watch more of their SCP stuff. I really, really do. I really 100% do.
Temporarily reverting each individual cell to the stem cell stage through an unknown process before remaking it as a new cell. Individuals infected are classified as SCP-1242-1A and are quarantined immediately. Infection is followed by an incubation period of 6 hours, after which the symptoms begin to manifest. After 6 hours, SCP-1242-1A experience acute pains in joints, fever ranging from 38 to 40 degrees Celsius, respiratory difficulty, cardiac arrhythmia, and cyanotic extremities. After 8 hours, subjects indicate that pain is now global to the body. Symptoms diverge in this stage depending on the initial mass of the infected individual. There is currently no data on individuals exactly matching the mass of SCP-1242. However, it's been noted that symptoms beyond this point are significantly less severe for individuals within the weight class of SCP-1242. SCP-1242-1A that are larger in mass than SCP-1242 begin experiencing violent emesis, diarrhea, and perspiration beyond the levels associated with fever temperatures. Waste produced in this manner is composed of tissue types from throughout the body. Subjects begin to gradually decrease in mass and physical size. Instances larger in mass than SCP-1242 have an estimated 43% survival rate at this stage. SCP-1242-1A that are smaller in mass than SCP-1242 begin bloating and swelling and display a voracious appetite with a preference for materials high in protein. Instances that are smaller in mass than 1242 have an estimated 6% survival rate at this stage without medical intervention.
Dude, this guy's life must suck. His life has to suck.
After 9 hours, symptoms accelerate as subject rapidly alters to more closely match the mass of 1242. All identifying characteristics native to the race are eliminated, and the subject's body begins restructuring to achieve the end-stage result. Females have a significantly higher chance of dying due to complications associated with restructuring of primary reproductive systems in this stage. Larger instances experience a continuation of emesis and diarrhea, skeletal fracturing and restructuring, and slowing of skin and hair. Instances in this stage are prone to organ failure from compression, bursting, and dehydration. Smaller instances experience rapid growth, with associated internal lacerations and stress fractures from sudden growth of skeletal structure. It's been determined that continued nutritional supplementation substantially improves chances of survival at this stage for smaller instances, boosting survival chances from 4% to 32%.
Good for you.
After 10 hours, the subject's body structure now closely resembles SCP-1242. Symptoms converge and abate. SCP-1242-1 is once again infectious. After 11 hours, all symptoms abate. Subject is now visually indistinguishable from 1242.
It clones him. It literally clones him. My God.
And is designated 1242-2. Instances possess intelligence commensurate to that of 1242 and display a range of reactions and personality traits. Investigation into neurochemistry reveals that levels of serotonin and dopamine are elevated by an average of 15% above human baseline. This results in instances generally behaving docilely and showing a heightened preference for tactile sensation. It's hypothesized that instances do not develop depressive behaviors displayed by 1242 due to an inability to experience strong negative emotion without an outside trigger. These instances have a drive to protect 1242, and in the pursuit of that goal, will seek out and infect individuals to propagate more instances. In the event of direct threat, instances become extremely violent, lashing out at perceived threats with any tools or weapons available.
Right.
But will attack unarmed should they lack weapons. Autopsies of instances terminated while defending show levels of serotonin and dopamine dropping below baseline. SCP-1242 is contained in 2 adjoining rooms capable of sustaining quarantine for a Category A UN-2814 biohazard. The rooms are separated by an airlock. All access to subjects are limited to a single entry point with the remote handling, clean room, decontamination, and quarantine facilities. Remote handling is used when interacting with SCP-1242 whenever possible. Level A biohazard suits are required for all non-test subjects physically interacting with the instance. Subject is on strict suicide watch and is not allowed any object or material that would facilitate self-harm.
Dude, that has to be utterly a living hell. Like, I've seen a few SCPs where I couldn't even imagine having to deal with what the person is actually going through. You know, I like what the SCP itself would be going through. I have seen several SCPs like that. The Dimension Hopper, the one that nobody really remembers him. But this one will be another one like that because he can literally be around no one that is not in like a biohazard suit. Yeah, Mr. Forget Me. He can't be around anybody that's not in a flat-out biohazard suit. That is horrifying.
Due to subject's proven capacity for self-harm, all requests made by the subject must be submitted to the site director. SCP-1242 was discovered after the Foundation became aware of reports from Rural Town describing identical male use, corresponding with reports of individuals disappearing. Subject was located in an outlying structure outside of town, surrounded by 24 instances of SCP-1242-2. Subject immediately warned Foundation personnel away, but made no attempt to escape. 2 agents were both exposed to SCP-1242-1 in the course of interviewing the subject. One agent recognized a potential biohazard and was able to communicate the necessary precautions before succumbing to infection. Containment teams eradicated all present instances and took SCP-1242 into custody. The town was placed under quarantine. Class C amnestics were administered to the population, who were then relocated under a claim of eminent domain. The area of potential infection was then sterilized.
Sterilized. They nuked it. I don't blame them either. 12.
SCP-651. Object Class: Euclid. SCP-651 is a highly contagious, human-infecting viral genus that causes the fusion of soft tissues. Usually first affecting the distal extremities. The effects can be observed early in the form of webbing of the fingers and toes.
Oh boy.
It spreads to affect the entire body, typically fusing the subject's thighs and cubital fossa, and eventually causing the mouth, ears, eyes, nostril, and anus to seal completely.
Oh.
Subjects surviving into the late stages are forced into a fetal position, the forehead eventually fusing with the knees. The fusion of tissues can be slowed, but not prevented, by the insertion of obstructions into the affected area. This can cause the infection to take effect on the areas surrounding the object. If left unattended, the foreign objects can become enclosed in flesh. If cut open, fused tissues will reform and heal in the usual manner for human wounds. Subjects infected with SCP-651 are kept and treated in the secure medical wing of Site. Any secretions of infected patients are disposed of in the manner detailed in Protocol 9913B.
Good.
Access to infected patients by non-medical personnel is subject to O5 approval.
So you literally turn into a ball of flesh. Congratulations. Ugh.
SCP-1797. Object Class Euclid.
Okay.
SCP-1797 is an anonymous strain of influenza, primarily transferred through contact with SCP-1797-A.
Yay.
Apart from its anonymous properties, it's similar to other influenza strains. The virus causes symptoms such as fever, coughing, and fatigue, can be treated with antiviral medications, or overcome naturally by the host's immune system.
Now, the thing about it is, guys, one thing to understand is people just completely forget about is the fact that the certain viruses evolve very, very quickly. Like the E. coli bacteria, certain other types of bacteria, they're pretty much unchanged. They're pretty much unchanged from the way that they were. So new strains of those kinds of bacteria are actually kind of frightening. But when you look at things like influenza, the common cold, things like that, there's a reason that every year they're talking about getting, a flu shot or something like that, because the influenza virus continuously modifies. That's how we get certain types of influenza that just suddenly hit everyone, like bird flu and things like that.
2 days after infection, several large tumors will begin to grow on the host's body. Typically, from 5 to 8 tumors will develop at a time.
It's not a
The tumors
tumor.
will continue to grow for several days, reaching 12 to 20 centimeters in size, and gradually taking the shape of an instance of SCP-1797-A. Once fully grown, it will animate and detach itself from the host's body.
Oh,
the process
no.
will repeat for as long as the host is infected with the strain. These instances have the appearance of a domestic cat, from 3 to 8 weeks.
Wait, the fuck? What? What?
Weeks old depending on the instance. Genetically, instances are identical to the individual they originate from. The organisms do not age once detached from their host and are unable to breed. The average lifespan is 2 years.
So you literally could have kittens from this virus.
Isolated samples of SCP-1797 are contained at Site-197 under standard containment procedures for viral agents.
Look at their little faces. They just want to infect you with love.
Instances of 1797-A, created for testing, are kept in isolated chambers at all times. If a direct interaction with an instance is necessary, the organism is remotely sedated, and any personnel entering its chamber adheres to Biosafety Level 2 procedures.
Sweet.
Any material remaining is disposed of via incineration. SCP-1797 was discovered during an outbreak in Russia.
Of
The
course.
outbreak was traced back to Vsevolod Cherndobov, a 92-year-old citizen. Several witnesses had confirmed he had been selling and giving away domestic cats as a main source of income for the past 7 years.
Say what?
Examination of his apartment revealed 23 living instances of 1797-A, partial remains of 60 more instances, as well as numerous tools, tableware, and several pieces of furniture constructed from SCP-1797-A. He was taken into Foundation custody, where he expired 2 weeks later due to health complications caused by prolonged undernourishment.
Prolonged kitten eruptions. That's the weirdest. That's so weird.
SCP-405.
405, let's go.
Object Class, Keter. SCP-405 is a contagious phenomenon of unknown origin that causes the uncontrolled development of telepathic capabilities in humans. The typical progression of the disease is as follows. The primary stage is 2 days after exposure and has no noticeable effect. The initial stage is 7 days after exposure. The subject begins to hear higher-order thoughts of nearby subjects, seemingly at random. Thoughts about the subject are most common. Subjects rarely realize that the heard vocalizations are not spoken. The secondary stage is 10 days after exposure. The subject now hears all conscious thoughts of nearby individuals. Subject will become aware of their telepathic nature.
Oh.
In some subjects, thought projection is first observed here. Subject will usually complain of earache and express a desire for silence. Sleep patterns typically become disrupted due to perceived noise levels.
Okay.
The escalation stage is 14 days after exposure. After this period, the range of subject's abilities increases, typically to about 200 meters, but occasionally far further.
Good God!
In a few rare cases where the subject has pre-existing telepathic capacity, range has been shown to grow exponentially out to several kilometers, leading to the early onset of terminal stage. The subject hears all conscious thoughts of humans within this range, as loudly as if the individuals were speaking directly into the subject's ear.
Ugh.
The first suicide attempts
that is uncomfortable.
Typically occur at this point, as a result of sleep deprivation and perceived noise levels. Subject also begins to uncontrollably protect their thoughts to nearby individuals. MRI scans taken at this stage indicate several significant deformities in the audio cortex. The plateau stage is 28 days after exposure. No noticeable change in symptoms evident at first, although many subjects begin to detect unconscious thoughts towards the end of this phase, including autonomic responses and reflex actions. Subjects typically exhibit a wide range of dementias consistent with sensory overstimulation and sleep deprivation by this stage, and most attempt suicide, often frequently with increasing levels of creativity and desperation. Restrained subjects will typically beg for termination or other extreme measures. Towards the end of this phase, subject often experience catatonic episodes and begin to suffer from seizures. They are not apparently related to the telepathic abilities, but rather due to swelling in the subject's neural tissues. Infected subjects are contained at SCP-405 isolation zones. Zones exist in depopulated areas.
Thank you.
All field teams are informed of the locations of nearby isolated zones. All observation of SCP-405 victims are done via video link from a distance of no less than 1 kilometer. If a subject is in the late stages upon apprehension, they are terminated and all individuals within 200 meters undergo treatment. Outbreaks of SCP-405 appear spontaneously. There have been at least in recorded history.
Okay.
The ultimate cause of these outbreaks is unknown. The earliest believed SCP-405 outbreak was in the town of a famous ghost town.
The psychic awakening is happening, Warpugs, and it's happening one step at a time.
The entire population was recorded to have died either by their own hands or at the hands of deranged residents.
Okay.
Written records retrieved are consistent with the symptoms of SCP-405. The cause of the outbreak is unknown, although 79% have been traced to some form of educational facility.
What? 9.
SCP-1121. Object Class Euclid. SCP-1121 is a previously unknown amoeboid protozoa with very specific mutagenic qualities triggered only by Staphylococcus epidermidis,
Really?
a normally benign bacterium present on human skin.
And see, that's why getting staph infections is so weird, because you have this bacteria on you all the time. You have this bacteria on you all the time, but staph infections are so dangerous because you've got the wrong bacteria now.
If introduced to other organisms, it remains dormant. DNA extracted from samples shares genes with several insect species, such as the African batbug, the mole cricket, and spine-tailed earwig, while also containing several genes not currently found in known flora or fauna.
Great!
SCP-1121 does not seem to procreate naturally and does not need fluid to survive. Once introduced to Staphylococcus epidermidis, 1121 mutates all instances of the bacteria into 1121-1 before dying. At this point, a subject is considered infected and will start to show stage 1 symptoms.
Okay.
Note that while Staphylococcus epidermidis does not normally cause infection in healthy humans, the pathogen infects 100% of subjects exposed to it. 1121-1 has proven resistant to all known antibiotics, and at this time, no known cure for infections exists. A subject infected goes through a set number of stages. At stage 1, 2 to 5 hours after initial infection, small white lesions appear on the skin. This does not differ from infection by Staphylococcus epidermidis, making wrong diagnoses a distinct possibility. At stage 2, approximately 24 hours after the onset of stage 1, the lesions will gradually begin to disappear, the infection having spread to the lower layers of the patient's skin. 1121-1 then consumes the subcutaneous tissue, transforming it into a highly viscous substance. This process is extremely painful.
Yeah, I bet.
The patient's skin is at this point connected to underlying tissues only by the substance excreted. In addition,
oh my, that is going to hurt. Oh wow! You found Khazad-dûm in Versus in Venture Story? Dragon, go explore the depth of Khazad-dûm.
subject's skin turns pale and splotches in areas, mimicking the effects of massive sudden weight loss. At stage 3, patients begin removing their skin from their body. Most patients use their own hands for skinning, though in some cases, patients resorted to using various tools, including knives and windshield scrapers.
What?
This process seems to be painless due to the events of stage 2 and doesn't seem to be a conscious activity.
Oh my god.
When the anomalous substance underneath the skin is exposed to air, it gradually, commonly found on insects. Victims rapidly become disoriented and invariably hostile to anyone not infected. In light of this, termination of all victims is necessary, preferably before the disease enters stage 3.
That's...
Only 2 specimens have been collected of SCP-1121,
nuke it.
Both at initial containment. These are kept in one of Biological Research Site 13's refrigerated biohazard containment cells in a freezing medium composed of 12% dimethyl sulfoxide, 20% heat-inactivated calf serum, and axonic medium at -70 degrees Celsius.
So they basically cryogenically froze these people.
Cultures of SCP-1121-1 are kept in a glycerol stock under identical temperatures in a separate refrigerated biohazard containment cell. Due to the rarity of samples, tests use 1121-1 cultures instead. Testing is authorized and conducted by at least one Level 4 member of on-site research staff. All personnel not designated a test subject wear Level A hazmat suits. Failure to do so results in immediate quarantine and, upon completion of all stages, incineration of the remains. Should infections be reported outside of Foundation control, a quarantine is instated within a 10-kilometer radius of the established epicenter.
Can't say I blame
All
them.
victims not yet deceased are terminated, followed by controlled incineration. Seemingly uninfected civilians and personnel within the quarantine zone are detained and monitored. If they develop no symptoms after 24 hours, they are administered Class A amnestics and relocated.
Good.
Any individuals that do develop symptoms within that time period are terminated and incinerated.
There you go.
No occurrences of SCP-1121 have been observed outside of initial containment.
So you literally, quite literally, have bug people. You have bug people.
Infection of new patients occurs primarily by skin-to-skin contact, though evidence exists of infections spreading in situations where no direct contact was observed.
I swear this is the voice of the Templin Institute from back in the day. I swear that's her voice.
Making Level A hazmat equipment a must when handling any samples of SCP-1121-1.
SCP-2450.
Let's go.
Object Class: Euclid.
A lot of Euclid in here.
SCP-2450 is an infectious disease that causes severe hyperdontia in unusual areas of the body.
Uh-huh.
The initial infection source is the area contained by Building 2450, a former male bathroom in a company service station located on the M motorway in United Kingdom. The vector via which the area infects is unknown. Level V hazmat suits have proven ineffective in preventing infection. The disease may affect a large number of mammalian species, including rodents, dogs, and humans. Approximately 23% of subjects exposed to the area contracted SCP-2450. Infection may also be passed to new hosts through bites which draw blood, with an infection probability of 12%.
Okay.
Initial stage infection results in the patient presenting hyperdontia, the eruption of extra teeth, in various body orifices. The first orifice to be affected is usually the mouth, with teeth erupting from gums, palate, and frenulum. But once the disease has progressed, all bodily openings will be affected. The size of teeth grown varies but tends to be proportional to the size of the opening. SCP-2450 teeth will grow at a rate roughly 12 times that of natural teeth, taking typically between 3 weeks and 9 months for a tooth to grow from germ to full root completion, depending on size. Teeth will grow in rows further and further back into the orifice as the disease progresses.
What?
Later stage infections begin to occur once all natural bodily orifices have grown at least one full row of teeth. In this occasion, areas of the body which are not orifices, such as the eyes or the interspaces between toes, will also begin to erupt teeth. In addition, any apertures formed in the body by external trauma, such as cuts to the skin, will develop teeth. Calcium and other minerals required to grow the teeth are taken from the body's natural stores.
This has ruined my whole day. This has ruined my whole day.
And, consequently, the infection can result in osteoporosis and hypoglycemia. Patients may be kept alive despite this by administering calcium and mineral supplements.
Why?
But will keep producing teeth indefinitely. The tooth growing process has been described by patients as extremely painful.
Really?
And similar to the teething pains experienced during the development of normal teeth. Patients have described a strong desire to mitigate this sensation by biting or grinding affected teeth, or rubbing or pounding the teeth against solid objects. This action is discouraged in patients whose disease progression requires curtailment, as it will frequently lead to further skin lacerations and the creation of new teeth. It was due to this behavior that the ability to transfer infection through tooth-to-blood contact was discovered during interview with an infected patient. SCP-2450 patients are kept physically restrained in Secure Ward LAN-12 to prevent the spread and progression of infection. The initial infection source is contained at site of discovery in a building disguised as an electrical substation designated Building 2450. Building 2450 is kept securely locked and surrounded by a standard substation fence repleted with danger of death warning signs.
Ugh.
Constant surveillance is kept over the building, and any person attempting to intrude are detained and questioned. Ingress is only by means of double-door system, which includes an isolation chamber to prevent the entrance of any small mammals to Building 2450. No mammals except approved test subjects are permitted to exit Building 2450.
Oh my god. That is horrifying. Ugh.
SCP-149. Object Class: Keter. SCP-149 is a breed of mosquito which carries a strain of retrovirus that mutates regenerating human cells into fertilized mosquito eggs. It is injected directly into the bloodstream when 149 feeds. The strain quickly works on the nucleus of the cells, warping the DNA. The first set of cells bred from these changed instructions closely resemble cysts and are concentrated in the lining of the esophagus and the sinuses.
Okay.
Upon dissection, these cysts are revealed to be filled with SCP-149's larvae. The cysts
Oh, this was a bad idea, Warpugs. Oh, this is a bad idea.
acting as a protective
getting
casing
worse.
against external forces, it appears to go through its maturation cycle in the matter of hours. By the time the subject is able to feel any effects, the first generation has already grown inside the subject's body. 149 primarily achieves exodus through the mouth and nostrils, occasionally being diverted through the sphenoid sinuses to escape through the eye sockets. Infection is fatal, and the chance of infection has been estimated to be 50% from one bite. SCP-149 in any of its instances are kept inside a sealed plexiglass box for observation. Oxygen and a nutrient mist are released into the containment cell every 2
Kill it with fire. Kill it with fire.
hours. If any instance escapes its cell, Protocol 42 Charlie is brought into effect on any and all contaminated personnel by order of 0512.
Kill it with fire.
SCP-2376. Object Class: Euclid. SCP-2376 is a substrain of tetanus carried by the common crow. It is transmissible to humans. Any infected humans are designated as SCP-23761.
St. Healy just sent me a message on Steam asking if I want a flamethrower. Yes, I do.
First stage of infection lasts anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. It is characterized by the normal symptoms of tetanus, as well as severe skin rashes, vertigo, and a painful cough. Instances will often report a constant faint odor of straw and corn, as well as describing all objects to have a rough, burlap-like texture, regardless of their composition.
Okay.
The second stage of the infection is when 2376 anomalous properties manifest. All instances of 23761 are perceived as a normal inanimate scarecrow by any human observers.
Wait,
The
what?
observers don't appear to be aware that the infected individual is missing, or that the scarecrow has replaced it. Any vocalization by the instances will not be registered.
What?
Motion is not visible to the observers. But if a person observing an instance breaks visual contact while the instance is moving, the instance will appear to have moved when the observer regains visual contact. Motion detectors and audio recording
Hell no. Hell no.
will function as normal. Photographs and other visual recordings of infected subjects, however,
No.
are still not perceived normally. Death of a 23761 instance results in the cessation of its effect on perception. The loss of mobility, fever, and other symptoms can be remedied with the usual tetanus treatments. The effect on perception appears to remain even after other symptoms cease. rodents have indicated that SCP-2376 is capable of causing neonatal infections like its non-anomalous counterpart. After one began attempting to cannibalize infected rodent subjects, it has been hypothesized that mice perceived infectees to be edible straw. As such, no humans infected with SCP-23761 should be allowed near mice.
This is hideous. This is hideous. My rabbits would destroy a victim.
Testing is ongoing around infected areas to determine if SCP-2376 has spread to any other carrier species. SCP-23761 instances are fed using an automated feeding system. They are examined once every 8 hours by medical staff. Instances are not made aware of the anomalous properties of the strain. In order to allow communication between instances of personnel, a text-based communicator is provided to each instance. When treating instances, medical staff close their eyes every 5 minutes and then reopen them, in order to view any messages that may have been written. Under no circumstances are patients removed from their rooms. All instances, as well as samples of SCP-2376, are located at Site-234, MTF Beta 7. Check for instances in hospitals located in infected areas.
No.
Multiple corpses were discovered in the garbage disposal units of a hospital in the town of Iowa. The hospital,
of course, it'd be in Iowa.
Staff claimed they had disposed of scarecrows that had been left in the hospital wards and dressed in hospital scrubs as a prank.
Oh my god, that one's horrible.
SCP-679.
Oh boy.
Object class, Keter.
Yep.
SCP-679 is a fungal infection of a previously unknown Aspergillus species. It was discovered among the local homeless population in Florida.
Yay!
It's highly infectious through direct contact with the fungus, though other
Now, how did I know that Florida was going to make an appearance here somewhere, somehow, some way?
means of transmission have been ruled out. In early stages, subjects complain of entopic phenomena. Subjects report seeing tiny bright dots moving rapidly in their field of vision.
Okay.
This is especially prevalent when sneezing or looking into strong blue light. After approximately 1 week from initial exposure, the sclera turns black. The subject loses vision at this time, becoming entirely blind. Within a day of this, small ulceration appear in the corners of the eyes. This causes the vitreous humor to begin leaking out, having the appearance of thick black tears. Mycelia are also pushed through the ulcerations. Each mycelium resembles a thin white thread coated with slime, reaching as long as 25 centimeters. As the ulcerations widen and more of the humor leaks out, more mycelia appear. At this stage, the eye begins to rot entirely, a process sped up by the fungus. However, it seems to protect the rest of the eye socket and the nerve, preventing infection by other pathogens in 80 to 90% of test subjects.
Good for them.
By the time the eyes have gone entirely, the sockets are filled with the fungus, with a thick mass of mycelia hanging from the empty sockets. This process takes approximately 2 weeks from the time the ulcerations appear. Once the eyes are completely gone, mycelia invade the sinuses, where they trigger increased mucus production, which the fungus appear to feed upon. At this stage, the fungus becomes mobile, the individual threads gaining motility. They move around the subject's face in seemingly random patterns. Once the fungus begins moving on its own, subjects report their vision returning.
I feel violated by this SCP. Like, nah.
The fungus appears to have photosensitive cells, as well as a currently poorly understood ability to interface with the optic nerve. Subjects describe normal or improved eyesight, but a much wider field of vision. Whenever a human with apparently normal eyes enters their field of vision, subjects experience visual hallucinations that seem designed to drive them in the direction of the uninfected. Once they are in range, the mycelia reach out to touch the uninfected human's eyes. This appears to be a reproductive strategy for the fungus. Curing the condition has so far been possible only in the earliest stages of the infection. Once the sclera changes, the only treatment is surgical intervention and cauterization of all tissue in the socket and sinuses. Samples of SCP-679 are contained in sealed glass vials under the temperature kept at 25 degrees Celsius. Infected subjects are kept restrained in a sterile environment. All personnel handling samples or subjects wear Class A hazmat suits. Any material or infected subjects removed from containment are incinerated immediately.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, Warpugs, we're almost. This is an endurance challenge. Oh my God, this is. Oh, Tats TopVideos. I swear to God, this is. I love this channel, but my God, this one's hurting. Let's go.
SCP-16.
16.
Objects Class Keter. SCP-16 has an incubation period ranging from 24 hours to 2 years, depending on the presence and number of other human hosts in the area.
Okay.
First symptoms resemble the common cold and include itchy eyes, runny nose, coughing, and bodily aches. Phase 2 begins in 48 hours and consists of a controlled form of hemorrhagic fever, as the organism causes a small amount of blood to become aspirated in the lungs, creating an aerosol effect. During Phase 3, the host crashes and bleeds out, bleeding profusely from every bodily orifice, including the nose, tear ducts, anus, skin pores, mouth, and urethra.
Ebola.
Blood pressure skyrockets during the final stage. Hosts have been observed projectile vomiting blood to distances of over 5 meters. Should the host survive this near-total exsanguination, the pathogen will become dormant once more, returning to incubation phase. What distinguishes SCP-16 from other strains of hemorrhagic fever, such as Ebola and Marburg, is its unusual response to high stress. Should the subject undergo a high-stress situation, the organism will change its survival tactic from rapid reproduction to the rewriting of the host's DNA and stimulation of rapid cell division.
What?
Major physiological changes occur within the first 24 hours, with complete bodily reconstruction occurring within 2 weeks' time. Most hosts do not survive the process due to the heavy demands made on the body. An interesting side effect of the transformation is an increased aggressive urge. It is believed that this may be an attempt to maximize the spread of the virus in a manner similar to rabies. On another note, subjects who undergo bodily transformation no longer appear to exhibit SCP-16's hemorrhagic properties. However, subjects infected by transformed hosts will still undergo the normal SCP-16 infection process. SCP-16 remains within the confines of a room at all times, maintained at a temperature not to exceed 0 degrees Celsius.
Oh, good Lord, this... So, Transformers Ebola Edition. That's what we're looking at here.
It remains in the petri dish of the containment cube at all times, unless directed otherwise, by Level 4 or O5 personnel. Only authorized personnel are permitted to obtain samples of and experiment with it under BCL5 containment conditions. If an outbreak does occur despite following the aforementioned procedures, Directive-based personnel implement a Code Sigma lockdown and containment plan.
Okay.
Infected personnel are terminated on site by security forces wearing standard mission-oriented protective posture with anti-biological and anti-chemical equipment. Should the infection not be contained after 48 hours, the on-site nuclear device is detonated. Remaining personnel are not evacuated under any circumstances.
Wow. Now that there is a rare thing for me to hear. when they are flat out, like, it's rare to actually hear in a file, in any kind of file summation of an SCP, that they will use the on-site nuke if this thing gets out of hand. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. They didn't talk about containment teams or anything like that. They just said, if it gets out of hand, nuke the site and don't evacuate anybody. It's over. Nuke it.
SCP-16 has been shown to survive for up to 6 hours on hard surfaces and up to several minutes in the air. High-intensity ultraviolet light and high concentrations of orthophthaldehyde solution have been demonstrated to be effective in disinfecting non-organic surfaces. SCP-16 was recovered from a mine worker who injured himself while working in a deep coal seam. Said wound became contaminated with coal dust from the mine, possibly infecting the worker with dormant spores. Over the next several days, SCP-16 proceeded to infect the remaining employees at the mining camp, as well as the CDC crisis team dispatched to deal with the epidemic. Foundation personnel then took over the investigation and terminated all affected personnel. Patient Zero was brought into captivity, and the mine shaft was collapsed by an explosive device.
There we go. 76 is another example with it flooding the site.
SCP-217. Object Class Keter. SCP-217 is a virus incurable by current means, with a rate of infectivity at 100%.
Damn.
It affects all organisms in the kingdom Animalia and can be spread via touch or contact with bodily fluid. It is very hardy and can survive for years outside the host's body. The progress of infection is very slow, with some subjects going several years before manifesting any symptoms. SCP-217 alters the biochemistry of organic tissue, causing organic matter to rearrange into a form of organic metal. The process involved with this change are not yet fully understood, but
God, why is this so painful? This was a mistake.
But the advanced stages are well documented. A subject will begin to turn into a complex arrangement of gears and clockwork.
Congratulations, you have become a transformer.
These taking over the former biological functions.
The machine god is here, and he is pissed.
Advanced stage infection is reported to be very painful, but earlier stages are oftentimes unnoticed, with only vague feelings of confusion, insomnia, and joint stiffness. Parts are replaced by gears and small tubes, joints by gear networks, eyes by structures not unlike primitive hand-crank film cameras, etc. SCP-217 shows first on the outside of the body, in all creatures except mammals. In mammals, it first converts the internal structure before manifesting outside the body. This can cause those infected to go for very long periods of time without knowing of infection. It has even been shown to totally convert the inside of the body before showing any externally visible symptoms.
Wow.
SCP-217 has infected several major metropolitan areas in the past,
Okay.
most notably the mental state of those in the middle of advanced stages of infection has been shown to be much diminished. Subjects respond in repetitive fashion, are very dull and mechanical in action, are easily distracted and confused, and appear generally irritable when faced with new problems. Initial infection of SCP-217 is almost undetectable. As the infection advances, subjects will begin to feel sharp, tearing pain in areas that are being converted. It has been compared to a knife wound or deep muscle tear, and can persist for hours or several days, depending on both the subject and the area affected. The new clockwork organs appear to tear and rip at tissue for a short time, before becoming fully integrated and settling into surrounding tissue, and this is believed to account for the pain. Areas infected appear to be metal, mainly brass, steel, and iron.
This is the SCPs. This is a virus that's got to be... Yeah, Headhunter. This is a virus directly related to the SCP Universe's machine god. I can't remember what the name is. Starts with an M, I believe?
Substances have been reported, appearing to be leather, rubber, glass, wood, and other basic materials. Despite appearances, it is purely organic material and even carries a subject's DNA. Organs and tissues affected appear to be more resilient than normal, carrying the same strength and density as the materials they resemble, instead of normal tissue density.
Oh my god. They were okay at first, and they've continuously gotten worse. They have just continuously gotten worse as time has gone on.
Containment area is kept behind 2 reverse pressure airlocks, and 24-hour post-interaction quarantine and testing are mandatory for all personnel entering containment area. Should containment be breached, the blast door for the containment and research area seals, and chemical agent 0-217-11 is pumped into the air. Any humans exposed to SCP-217 are contained and held for observation. Any items touched by those affected by it are sterilized.
2.
SCP-194.
Okay.
Object Class: Euclid. SCP-194 are visually identical to Corvus corax, or the common raven.
I knew that the Raven Guard were.
Their behavior is also identical to that of most ravens, save for how they display an abnormal degree of comfort in the presence of humans.
Okay.
194 will not flee from humans unless they are obviously threatened, and are known to perch on humans when it's convenient for them to do so.
No.
They have also a distinct diet from normal ravens, preferring to eat meat exclusively over grains and seeds. SCP-194 gather in large numbers around introverted persons, usually people with antisocial tendencies and little or no history of violence.
Does it flock around people that recite poetry more? Just a question.
These groups will follow said people around, flocking near their homes or places of work, and flying through whatever areas they are in while outside. Persons who are in prolonged contact with SCP-194 become SCP-194-1.
Okay. In other words, loners.
SCP-194-1 quickly develop antisocial personality disorders and an isolationist mindset if they do not already have those attributes.
Sweet.
They tend to neglect work and relationships, preferring to spend most of their time outside in the presence of SCP-194. If it begins to molt, 194-1 will gather up the feathers to eat. Once 194-1 develops a habit of eating feathers, they will eat little or nothing else. Approximately 1 week after the feather eating stage commences, 194-1 will undergo a metamorphosis. The shoulder blades will develop thin bony protrusions that grow outwards, with skin and muscle tissue growing around the bones as they extend.
Oh, God.
Over the course of 24 hours, the protrusions will continue to develop, forming hollow-boned, jointed limbs very similar to birds' wings.
Sweet!
Feathers may already be visibly growing from the wings at this period, or they may grow in afterward. All SCP-194-1 who were interviewed have described this transformation as extremely painful and...
Yeah, because it can't be... Like, the weirdest one yet has been the kitten one. The kitten one has been the weirdest one, but every single instance of this has been pain.
Internal injuries around the upper back are common, as are conditions associated with malnourishment. After the flightless wing-like appendages are fully grown, SCP-194-1 will become lethargic and spend most of their time resting. They will also become increasingly obsessed with being in the presence of and mimicking SCP-194 and may be hostile to human interference.
Okay.
They will continue to lose weight and undergo more physical changes, starting with a dramatic shrinking of the spine, atrophy of the limbs, and reshaping of the skull, and ending with the growth of black feathers over any parts of the body they do not already have them.
Pretty much, Headhunter.
If they survive to the end of this stage, they will have fully changed shape into SCP-194. Testing has revealed that while it is possible to delay and prolong the transformation for up to 6 months by keeping SCP-194-1 separated from SCP-194, there is no known way to stop or reverse the transformation without killing 1941 after the wings are sprouted. Instances of SCP-194 are kept in the aviary on the grounds on Site-43. The area around this aviary is fenced in with no less than 50 meters of space between the aviary itself and any part of the fence. SCP-194 is fed daily on dead rodents. Discarded feathers are collected at the time of feeding. Only personnel that do not have a history of introversion or isolation are tasked with feeding.
Wow, man, this thing is... These are just...
Instances of SCP-194-1 are kept in the locked chamber underground in Site-43. This chamber is furnished with straw and a ceiling light to stimulate the sun. They are fed a diet identical to that of SCP-194 with the addition of feathers from SCP-194 on request.
Right.
At no time may they come into contact with one another unless 194-1 has fully transformed into SCP-194. Personnel are forbidden to interact with these instances outside of interviews and other events scheduled with doctors. Personnel who have had unauthorized interactions must undergo mandatory psychiatric evaluation.
Which involves you sitting around listening to The Bird is the Word for 5 hours.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'd like to talk to you about SCP-194.
That's not what they're called.
What do you call them?
They're my flock.
Sweet.
My kindness. My hosts. Carrion brethren. Any name you like.
Now that's what I call edgy.
But not a number.
Can a number not be a name? Why are you drawn to the hosts?
They came to me. They recognized me as one of them.
As a raven?
As a prisoner. As lonely.
Dude, so it's emo kids. Emo kids are this thing.
Go on. As a what? Okay, let's try a different question. Why did you eat their feathers?
They were gifts. You don't refuse gifts.
Yes, but why do you eat nothing but the feathers?
Don't need anything else.
Okay.
Do you know what's happening to you?
I'm joining them. I'm becoming one of them. I'll be beautiful.
You're aware that most people who've been in your position have died in mid-infection?
I don't think he cares.
Well, if you survive, you'll be caged along with the other ravens in the aviary.
Dude. So literally, it's the virus of emo kids. Okay, that works for me.
SCP-610.
Okay.
Object class, Keter. SCP-610 appears to be a contagious skin disease at first, with symptoms including rash.
The flesh that hates. The flesh that hates. I was wondering when this thing was going to make an appearance.
Itching and increased skin sensitivity. Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue to form in the chest and arm areas, spreading to the legs and back within an additional hour, consuming the victim completely within 5 hours. Exposure to high temperatures vastly decreases the time for the contagion to spread, and complete infections have been recorded occurring in as little as 5 minutes.
I was wondering when this is going to happen.
After the completion of the infection occurs, the victim's life functions will cease for approximately 3 minutes, after which time they will restart as 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human. Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move on its own accord and grow at a rapid rate. Normal human features start to disappear at this point under the infection, and the path of mutation appears to be largely random.
I didn't know if it was going to be number 1, but I had a pretty good idea. I knew we were going to run into this one. I knew we were going to run into 610 at some point. I just didn't know when it was going to be. But I knew 610 was going to be on this list. There was no doubt in my mind.
Subjects observed at this rate of infection have been recorded as growing 3 or more limbs of a type such as arms or legs. The head may become misshapen and elongate or widen out. The parts of the subjects may split open, from which additional branches of flesh will grow. The duration of this stage of infection is unknown, and not all subjects appear to progress to the later stages. Under unknown conditions, an infected individual will cease moving and place itself in a location it deems suitable where it roots itself. The fleshy growth on the victim will then begin to spread itself across all surrounding objects and consume them. Such objects do not spread the infection as living creatures do. Observation of life by staff for infected 610 is impossible. Those infected with the disease immediately seek out aid as natural human impulse, resulting in unintended infections. Those infected past the scar tissue phase aggressively attempt to infect anyone approaching them within an unidentified area. Observation of SCP-610 infected settlements have been established using remote robots. The data returned from these observations, coupled with the openly aggressive nature of the infected, has resulted in the Keter classification. As long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected areas, it's considered a neutralized threat. Due to the vast area of infection SCP-610 covers, containment is impossible. Isolation of the area has proved far more effective, and permission has been granted by the Russian government to establish a parameter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations.
Of course. But is it special military operations? That's the big question, because we all know how good Russia is at those.
Initial reports came direct from the Russian government through undisclosable channels. These reports consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers in the region, and were not considered until the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally a government-dispatched agent. All failed to report in within a 72-hour period. A small military contingent was dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew, at which point the Foundation was contacted to investigate.
Okay. Let's go through it, okay? Let's just go back through real quick. Number 1. Oh wait, the zombie apocalypse. The second one, spontaneous combustion. Bone marrow transplant recipient. The one that I'm immune from because I don't have any hair. I'm just saying, I'm immune from it. I don't have hair. Puking up guns. This poor bastard. I mean, there's no other way to say it. 1242, I'm renaming it at this point to this poor bastard. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. That is horrendous. The only person ever going to beat Michael Phelps in the swimming in the Olympics. Cat tumors. I can see what you did there. No. The virus. Ugh, no. That is hell no. I didn't, just South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, you know, this is our nightmare here. This is utter nightmare. This is just nightmare fuel. Batman villain. There he is, Batman villain right there. What else do we got? The obligatory Florida reference. Oh, let's see. Organic Transformers. Organic Transformers. The reason Megatron exists. The emo virus. And then, of course, the flesh that hates. Good lord, this one was just... oh, yeah, no. War pugs. A lot of us has been sick. I'm so glad we don't have anything approaching this level of stuff. Okay? I'm so glad we don't have anything approaching this at all. I'm just saying. This. Oh my god. The emo virus is the only one that I halfway consider funny about all this. Except for the kitten ones, just because you spontaneously grow kittens. I'm just saying, you spontaneously grow kittens. I have never heard anything like that before, okay? Period. Now, the scarecrows, on the other hand, my rabbits would devour. They would be murderers at that point. Warpugs, if you're watching this on YouTube, Tats TopVideos are gonna be in the links down below. Go by and check them out. They put out some great stuff with SCP. Stuff I need to get to. I need to get back to, by the way. Because, God, they have some good stuff, I'm just saying. But this... yeah, this gave me the legitimate heebie-jeebies at some point. Especially the one with the teeth. I can't deal with the one with the teeth. No, thank you. Oh... Warpugs, we're calling it for tonight. We're calling it for the night. I hope you guys have a good week. I hope Nurgle no longer affects any of you. But this was an error on my part. This was an absolute error. Oh my god.